Hello there, listeners, and welcome to our brand new podcast called Startup Kitchen Talk, where we talk about startup cooking. My first ever guest, is Hanka Kučerová, passionate yoga trainee, amateur photographer, which, by the way, got her free tickets to the biggest music festivals. And she's also the CEO of Opero, a premium co-working space and business hub. Welcome, Hanka.
Thank you for the kind introduction.
Hanna, tell me, what did you have for breakfast today?
Very good question for the start. I had eggs as usual, which my boyfriend made for me. So I had very nice breakfast.
So your boyfriend made you eggs for breakfast before you joined me in podcast. Super early in the morning, by the way. So kudos to your boyfriend. And thank you for that. To talk about and introduced Opero, because I was there multiple times, sometimes to work, sometimes to meet someone or to have a coffee or have a bubbles or attend a panel. It's a state-of-the-art space. And it's also kind of renaissance with a lot of activities there. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Opero?
I think I feel grateful to be part of it. So this is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Grateful
for the opportunity, the people, and everything it brings. And we get to that, I guess.
I guess that's a dream. You joined Opero 6 years ago. Can imagine that at that time you didn't have a lot of experiences with co-working, mainly because there weren't many co-working spaces back then. What was the biggest obstacle you personally had to beat?
I think when I think about it back then, I remember thinking that, how will we make money? I was like, what is the business case? What is the business model behind it? And I didn't really understand it. So that's for sure. And the biggest obstacle, I would say it was maybe the amount of work that we didn't realize what we getting ourselves into, I think. But for us, I mean, when I say for us, I mean for me and Bára, which is my very dear friend and colleague, and we started out together. And when I'm thinking about it, I don't get how Pavel, one of the co-founders, could be like so bold at that time that he gave us this opportunity, even though we didn't have any experience with it. Bára Bára had experience with the clientele we were aiming at, and I had also some experience, of course, but not for this field, or we thought. But he saw something, and we jumped right in it. So,
what do you think that he saw back then in you two?
I think he saw the drive, the passion, and the energy. And I see it now too, that it is like the most important thing you need when you're hiring people, that they have to want to do it. And it doesn't really matter if they have the experience or not.
You started in 2016, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, there weren't many co-working spaces in Prague, Czech Republic. I think there was one or two. What was the biggest misconceptions you guys dealt with when it comes to co-working topic?
I don't know if it was a misconception, but I think, and it's still today, that not everyone knows what it is, or people have different notion of what it is. And for us, from the start, we wanted to be more like a business club than a co-working. Because of also like the three co-founders, the idea behind it for them was, let's start something for us, for our kind of people, for our business partners and so on. So it wasn't a co-working for young people who just graduate university and want to start a business. It was more for 40 plus people who already had the experience and wanted some common ground, some base for them.
But isn't it easier to persuade, the fresh graduates to join co-working space than the 40 plus people to join co-working space? Isn't there a generation gap?
Yes, I guess. But this isn't what we were trying to build from the beginning. Our clientele was 40 plus, the professional, and not basically the startupists. So this is the difference. Of course, we have like more kind of like variety of clientele now, but the idea behind it was a little bit different. So back to your initial question, like it wasn't that hard, I would say, because when we started, there was like we had quite a strong PR with it because of the people behind it, because of their people around them. So I don't want to say it's easy, but looking back now, I feel it was easy. But it may be a little bit different in my mind now.
So the launch, in your mind, in your opinion, the launch wasn't the most difficult part. Was there more difficult situations to come in the Opero history? Like COVID?
Depending what you perceive difficult. Like if you're asking about me personally as like Hanna in Opero and my role, I think the challenging was even like before we open itself, because we came in August, I guess. Pavel said we're gonna open in November, and I was thinking no way, because the space is huge, it's gorgeous, it's like monumental building, and there were not even the ground, so I was like no way we're gonna make it, but we did.
Yeah, co-working needs floors, yes.
Exactly. And it was on me to make it happen. Bára was focusing on sales, and I didn't have any experience with it, so I was like, how will we do it? So it was challenging from the day one.
So you were selling, or Bára was selling a space without floors yet to be, finished.
Yeah, you had to sell the idea first, what we are trying to build, and we already had first client, first office sold before we even opened. So we knew we have to open 1st of November. So we did, but and we of course there were some stuff that needed to be done during upcoming months. But so it was challenging from the day one, and then of course the COVID itself. But yeah.
Now there are like around 60 co-working spaces in Prague, only in Prague. How do you differentiate yourself, Opero, I mean, in a contrast to Hub, Impact Hub, WeWork, etc.? What's the secret sauce?
Since we are in a kitchen startup podcast, so I would say normally I would say it's different game, but it's different kitchen. You cannot compare like pizza and pasta to sushi. I don't want it to sound I don't know.
No, there are some really good pasta places.
Yeah, I don't want it to sound in a bad way, but I mean, like the co-working itself, the activity, the product is like this is the only one ingredient we do in order to make the whole meal, to put it that way. So it's, I wouldn't put all the co-working spaces on the same level. And what we do, we try to not sell only like the chair, but the lifestyle that goes with it. It's very difficult to explain. You have to come and see and feel it for yourself to understand what I mean.
And see the building, yeah. How would you, because the co-working, it has a lot of connotation, a lot of, descriptions there. How would you describe it to your grandma? Maybe the perks of it.
I think I would say it's a place for people to work, to meet, to educate themselves, and to start new connection and businesses. And then I can totally see my grandma having hundreds of questions.
And what would be her following question? Why don't they stay in their offices?
Exactly. Why don't you work from home? Look, you have the table, you have the coffee machine, you don't have to pay for it, etc., etc. Or what do you mean by educate? Like, you can watch it on YouTube. My grandma, you could watch it on YouTube, or you could read a book. So this would be difficult to explain then. But so
what a pragmatic grandma.
Yeah. So by educate, I mean we try to create events and opportunities for people to meet, to inspire themselves, and to create some safe space for them to start new projects. It's very easily said.
Thank you. Now you are a CEO. I can imagine that you have a lot of activities and different activities during your working hours. But could you describe your typical day as a CEO of Opero?
There is not such thing as typical day, I think. But I think every person in my role would probably tell you the same thing.
So let's start with yesterday. What did you do yesterday?
Well, yesterday I started the day with talking with one of our people. So basically I spent till 1 p.m. with the team, and either personal-wise or work-wise. So I realized that a lot of the time you have to put to the people. And now I'm starting to think if maybe it's the time that we have the HR person with the team, yeah. But I don't know. So yesterday I spent time with the team, and then on a project that we're trying to sell now for that's right now there is a pilot program for founders and owners of the company. So we are working on how to sell it for the upcoming year. So this was my day yesterday.
Because in Opero you have a lot of projects for startups and other SMEs. One of them is called Meant to Grow, and which goal is to help startups with scale-upping. How do you do that? How do you help the startups?
As you said, we have several programs. This focused on startups is called Meant to Grow. And it is very unique program in its activities and how it can help the startups that are in it. Like right now there are 14 companies, but the maximum is 20. And the reason why the number is so small is because we focus on each of them individually. And for example, compared to the other program we have for SMEs, Dotoho, is that we have in Dotoho we have pool of mentors and companies that sign in, and we pair the mentors we have with the companies that sign in. But in Meant to Grow program, we have the company sign in, the 14 companies right now, and there is no pool of mentors. There is the committee, the people who run it, my colleagues, and they go they consider every single company one by one and assess who would be the best fit to help them grow, because the Meant to Grow program is for B2B startups who would like to expand and scale up and expand their services or product to abroad, beyond the Czech Republic borders. And how we help them is we not only make workshops, educational programs, but also we try to connect them with the right clientele, right market, and we also work with corporates, founders, and basically customers. So all these three essential parts we try to put together in order to help them to grow. And also another activity which is very good to have for them, I think, is that we try to go with them to England and to other countries to find the right fit, either with founders, customers, and so on.
Do those startups need to be members, Opero members?
No, these programs, very good question. These programs are right now running its own product, to say. Opero is the
Like umbrella?
Exactly, like an umbrella, and it has the individual activities or products, so to say, and the mentoring programs are in like itself the self brand, and Opero itself too, and then at some point it interconnects. For example, with the activities we do, the networkings. We try to connect all those communities.
So how do you fund them? The projects?
It's different for each of them, and with Meant to Grow, it has own partners, and right now also the companies has to pay the fee in order to be able to be part of it. In Dotoho, it's funded by partners mainly, but again, if we would look in like 5-10 years ahead, there is like a plan how to monetize this, but we can do it like this. So it's different.
Apart from, several startup projects, you guys organize many panels. You even have your own talk show. The topics of the events aren't always just, business oriented. One of the last talk show you hosted had a name, How to Live. Why does Opero take this holistic approach towards life, universe, and everything, instead of focusing just on the business?
Because it's not what life is about. No, it's like to be concrete. We think it's important to talk about other topics too, like not only like making business, but of course, I think everyone would agree with me that the most business you make, or the craziest idea, or the most important ones happens when you are having drink with people you just met or with your colleagues. Then stuff happens. When you're not working, you're just brainstorming, you're just talking, and suddenly the idea comes up. And so this is also the reason why we try to do it, that we want to bring important topics as education, sustainability, etc., to people, to let them know that it's important and how to make our society better. To say that we are not, as I said, it's not with us only about the chair, but about the lifestyle and all the activities we do. It can be either the mentoring programs, the social and educational events, anything. It should somehow contribute to modern Czechia, to make the society better, to help us grow, and so on. I know it might sound how to say in English, too
cheesy to have some
maybe
startup kitchen metaphor.
Exactly, maybe, but we see like there's the purpose for us in it. So that's why we do all those stuff. And at the beginning, a lot of these activities we do are not really. You don't make money out of it. We do.
That was my question, because it sounds so amazing. But at the other hand, you still need to, make money somehow out of it. You need to monetize it.
Yeah, this is like one thing that we are still learning on the way, I think. But at the beginning, it seemed like you don't make money out of it at the beginning. But you meet people, you learn the stuff, like people get to know you about it, like what you stand for, what are the values for you. And for example, the event you mentioned that we had yesterday, How to Live.
Oh, that was yesterday.
This is one of the oldest one. We started, it's called Operative, and we started it when we opened, and it's still running. Now Česká spořitelna is the partner of it. And like for us, this event is about the topic, about bringing in interesting people who we think have something to share. But also this is like a huge source for us to get to know the people more. So for example, the guests of this talk show are now our clients, partners, colleagues even. So like we see the sense of building the community, and it goes from different angles. And this is, for example, for me at the beginning, I didn't see it in it. I was like, this is like the talk show. Okay, it's nice, good guest, it's fun. fun, you learn something. But then over the months and years, I started to see the value in it. So this is like also huge. I think this is like a huge impact not only on the team, but also on the clients, on the whole community around us, I think.
I like that you named you are Opero and the talk show is called Operative. Where does the name come from? Opero.
Opero.
Is it music oriented?
Of course, it has connotation with it too. It's from Latin, opero, and it basically means the open, like the open art, something unfinished. That there's still a way to keep learning, improving. I'm sorry I'm not very able to explain it in English.
Yeah.
In
From
Czech would
Latin
be better.
to Czech to English?
No, but opero, everyone understand like opera, so it's like unfinished.
And it's same
art.
in all the language, right?
Exactly,
Opera.
yeah.
We now see a co-working boom. It is everywhere, or it is, building to be everywhere, even in much smaller cities. Do you think that co-working is the future of workspace?
I don't think it's a near future. Because when I come to my hometown, to Tabor, and I see like the mentality there is still a little bit different. I don't think it's the future. And also here in Prague, like there are a lot of co-workings, a lot of like gorgeous spaces, but still if you look at the corporates, the big companies, they have their own co-workings inside their building. So I don't really know which way it's going to shift. Hard to tell.
When do you travel? Because you travel quite a lot.
You.
Do you take the work with you? Like, I mean, do you visit other co-working spaces to learn the newest stuff, and see how they make co-working in abroad?
I usually do. Well, I try to do it, but it's not the reason why I choose the place. But I always want to see like how do they do it here, what's new, and so on. So I do. When I was in London a few months ago, then I visited a few, and then in Barcelona as well. But I never, like in Asia, I never visited any, to be honest. I should change it. Yeah.
I think in Asia there are this dream destination, Thailand, Bali.
Yeah, of course there's
and there's a lot of co-working because there's so much expats. Those nomads, surf bums. I used to be one, so it's not like a negative connotation, but yeah. So I think that might be one of the reasons why there are a boom and a dreamland location with the co-working spaces. Before you joined Opero, you worked in a recruitment. What a difficult word. Recruitment agency. Did that teach you a valuable lesson about the teamwork and building your dream team, or did you learn that elsewhere?
I don't think it's like the recruitment agency taught me the importance of the team, and it was more about like individual work, I'd say. And I think where I got it was already in the childhood, or is something you either have or don't have, or you care or you don't care. Some like you have to care about the people, just to say. And I think I have this like team thing already from Scouts, because I was a little Scout girl and I loved
Girl
it.
Scout.
Exactly. So I think it's from there, maybe.
So Girl Scouting teaches more than recruitment agency when it comes to building a dream team. I think that's a valuable lesson. What was, because that was more of a corporate ecosystem there. Now you are way more in the co-working startup one. What's the biggest difference in the jump from corporate to co-work?
For me, it was definitely like the impact you can see from the activities you do. I mean, like in the company I worked right before I started in Opero, I felt like I was reporting for reporting, and like the activities you do, there are so like many like stuff you do that are not like valid anything. I don't want it to sound bad, but I think everyone who works in a corporate or big companies know what I'm talking about, because but it's logical. You have, because they're the hierarchy, and not really the top guy doesn't know what the like people below him do. So for me, the biggest difference is that in Opero, you can come up with anything. If it makes sense, if it's win-win for you or for the client or the partners, and if it eventually brings you something, either money or the name or etc. And so if it makes sense, you can do it. You find the people, you find the team, and you can do it. Or if you do any kind of activity, you see the impact you have, either on your team or on your clients.
But it's more responsibility, right? Because, if it works, it works. Kudos to you. But if it doesn't work, if it fails, then it's your responsibility.
Of course. And so, but it also teaches you something, because if I remember, and if I look back then in 2016 when we opened, if we would be waiting for perfection in anything, either in the operations, how we were building the reconstruction, or in the sales, marketing, anything, if we would be waiting for the perfection, we would never open. There would be no Opero, because it would be never perfect. So we were open. We didn't know how to do it, but we tried. It is like
you learn on the way.
Exactly, learning by doing, and sometimes it goes the right way, sometimes it doesn't. So you try again. So there's no other way.
What was the biggest struggle for you personally, or did you ever on your path felt like, okay, I failed this was a bad decision, but I learned the lesson, and I will avoid it next time?
I think one situation crossed my mind when you asked, and it's regarding people and the team, because I'm very people oriented. And to be honest, sometimes I'm even not sure if it's a good thing or no. I would like to be more like a frozen queen that don't really care, because it would be easier.
But frozen queen don't attract, dream team.
Maybe.
Yeah,
but
now you need to be
life
hard.
would be easier. Maybe.
It's good for autocratic regime, but it's not great when you want to build a dream team that you need when you are building something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So when you ask if there's some decision or some tough decision I made, it's regarding the team. And I know if I were at the situation again, I think I would have decide differently. And it doesn't really matter what it is. I would have to go into much detail, but but I remember, and I know how would I react the next time. So
it's amazing. Like there's nobody who can, be a CEO and no bad decision in their career. There's no such a person. And if they say they didn't have any missteps on their way, they're lying.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who would. Yeah. No. And I think to me, it's always about open communication. Even though we don't have the open company with all the information that not all the information are shared with all the people, but I think the open communication with each other within the team is essential for everything.
Talking about team. Do you remember when we met for the first time? Because it was quite a long time ago.
Of course I do.
it was, I think you were a core member of the team, but I was just helping with some small stuff during my bachelor studies. And it was an NGO project that in Czech it's called Nadbřeň. In English, I would call it to the core or to the bone marrow, because it was a project that educated young people, especially about the importance of bone marrow donation, which of course is here to help leukemia patients. why did you choose this topic? Why was it that important to you?
I know it sounds cliche, but I think it chose me. I didn't choose it because my dear friend that I know from when I was 3, it's like basically my sister, started it with her friends from the uni. So I thought it's interesting that you help someone and it's a nice project to be part of. And then at the same time, my colleague was dealing with something similar herself or with the people close to her. So it was like the right thing to do. So that's why I say it chose me. And it was like the great people behind it. It taught me a lot. You had to like stick together, do the organization. And there was like millions of tiniest activities that had to be done in order to the project to be moving, and so so the people knew about what we were trying to do, because as you said, the bone marrow donation is not something that is very known, I would say, generally, so we try to change it. But unfortunately, it's not running today because all the people, it was a students project and all the people are having their own work, and there was no time left for it, and there were no more people that would continue with it.
But as I recall, it was run by a bunch of students, but as I recall, it won some PR prize.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So this is, again, as you asked me at the beginning of the conversation, like for the essential thing, and I think you don't have to have the experience, you have to have the drive, the passion, you want to do it, and you just do it, and you learn on the way. And that's it, this is the same.
I met the people actually from the hospitals that we talked about. Unfortunately, I couldn't be a donator based on some medical issues, but so at least we spread the word. And recently, like half a year ago, I met them again because they were going in co-working spaces and spreading the word again. So that's it was amazing.
I'm very glad to hear that.
I'm glad it's still in the mind of people, and I think that is that some misconception that they are about marrow donation are now less powerful, to say at least. Once you said that to have the experience from abroad is a must, either studying Erasmus, studying abroad, or working abroad. Why do you think so? Why do you think it's a must?
I think you see the world differently. You approach people around you differently because you know that, like, the way you live here, the standard you have now, and the opportunities you are given or you decide to take on, it's not like that everywhere for everyone. And once you travel, you see how people live on the different part of the world, even on the world, even like better or worse. You are more humble. I think it's very important to be humble and to approach people with this in mind. And I also think imagine if there would be kids at a school, at a nursery, from different backgrounds with different skin colors from different countries, that there might be no wars, but I'm too naive for it.
So to summarize, your recipe for building a great team. So far, I have, Girl Scouting or Boy Scouting experiences from abroad and being humble. Is there something that you would add to this kitchen pot?
Yeah, I think, and also to keep in mind that everyone you meet is just a person, that you are as you asked me about the recruitment agency experience, so there's one thing that I still have in mind, and even though it's 8-9 years back, I still remember the situation. There was this one client who we had. He was from Netherlands. And I was the only one who could meet him from the team because I was the only one able to speak English with him. So this was funny to me because it was recruitment international. And he was like in his 40s something. He made a lot of money, and he was at the point of like when he wanted to change the career, but it was very difficult for the people at his position because these people had to be headhunted. It's not like you apply for, because it's like these like high rank positions. So I was meeting him at the cafe by the river, and I was very nervous about it because I was like 20 something, and I was thinking like, who am I to even give him my opinion about his situation? So I was like, this, like, how am I supposed to do it? And then at the time we were supposed to meet, he called me. He was super chaotic. He was like, hey, Hannah, I don't know where am I? I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. And he was like talking super fast. And I had to explain him how to get there. So when we finished the phone call, I was like thinking, this guy, like with this experience, who's making this kind of money, doesn't know how to get from the point A to the point B.
That can happen.
So I was like, all of a sudden, I was completely cool. I was so relaxed that I was just, and only this like tiny thing made me realize that he also is only a person who can be late, who doesn't know how to get to the cafe, even now when you can open a Google Maps. And so I was completely chilled, and it ended up like we were having very nice conversation, and we became friends after it. So I still remember this, and what it taught me, it's even though when you are in a situation, and since we are in a startup kitchen, if you are the startup having your idea in mind, starting your own business, and you are talking to a potential investor, and you are nervous about the pitch, you don't know what to say, you don't know how he or she is going to react. Just keep in mind that he or she is just a person.
Yeah.
And this is like, I know it's a tiny thing, and it's not a rocket science, but it still like makes me so calm. So this is, again.
Was that the last time you got, starstruck? Because I know that in Opero that you have a ton of celebrities, ton of, famous politicians, famous businessmen, famous sportsmen and sportswomen coming in. Like, are you just now chilled about it? Oh yeah, this is an Olympic medalist. We are welcome and have a coffee here.
To be honest, I never had this nervousness about a person ever again.
Okay.
And I think this is the reason, because sometimes, and even this is also, I sometimes tell this story to the people we hire for the reception, or for the people, they come from different background, because as you said, in Opero you meet all these kind of celebrities, either business-wise, or anything. And sometimes you can feel this, you are... I don't know, not yourself, you are shy to talk to them. So I try to tell them this story. Just keep in mind, it's only just a person.
It's only people.
You. Exactly.
And I am, because I know you travel a lot, and I also know that you are not a shy customer when it comes to, local cuisines. So I wanted to ask, what's the most ridiculous thing you've ever eaten?
I think it depends who's asking, because it's different for every person. But to me,
when we take it from the point of CEE cuisine, and culture,
then I think it would be in the spiders on a stick.
Spiders on a stick.
In somewhere in Asia, but it tasted like a crisp, or
they are like deep fried.
Yeah, deep fried. So you don't really eat. If you wouldn't know, if you had your eyes closed, you wouldn't know that you're eating spider. So this, or some insect, I don't even remember. But I'm weird in this way. I eat everything.
It's great. No, it's a great source of protein. I am
that's true. And now it's becoming a huge business, the insect protein stuff. So
you were futuristic before it was a future topic.
I wouldn't call it but...
Thank you, Hanka, for joining me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.